The final Woj bomb of all time, just before he retired, said Houston wants to trade for Kevin Durant. What? No wonder he retired. That is crazy. First of all, Rockets got a young core. KD is like a basketball dinosaur. And also, did they learn nothing from the Suns? Durant is not going to lift your franchise to a championship anymore. But Woj was right. The Rockets get Kevin Durant for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick, and 5 second-round picks. But, wow, that is cheap. Yeah, the Suns got number 10 back, but Houston kept by far the most valuable Suns picks in 2027 and 29. This changes everything. I know one guy who loves it is Kevin Durant. Look at him and his agent's reaction when they thought nobody was watching. So how did this happen? Well, as hard as it is to believe because of all these rumors lately, KD was basically untouchable just a few months ago. The Suns had been trying to trade Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler, but then out of nowhere, they went behind KD's back and tried to deal him to Golden State. But once Durant got wind of that, he shut it down. And dude tried to be like, oh, it just wasn't the right time. But we all know he just didn't want to play with Draymond Green again. But then he was officially on the trade market. So why did Phoenix even want to get rid of KD? Is he causing trouble in the locker room? Was he a diva? No, it's because their owner's bad decisions forced them into some big move, and Durant was the only player with value that they were willing to trade. Like, when Matt Ishbia bought the Suns, he immediately wanted to make a big splash. So they dealt Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, and control of 5 first-round picks for Kevin Durant. My goodness, what a horrible decision. And reports said it was the new owner who forced them to trade that much. Then he goes and gets Bradley Beal with a no-trade clause, and before you know it, they're as completely screwed as an organization can get. They go from NBA Finals in 2021, and then second round, get KD, losing the second round again, get Bradley Beal, and swept in the first round. It's like the more all-stars they get on their team, the worse they actually get. Oh, but last season, the most expensive team of all time, and they missed the playoffs. This team is so screwed, but that's a whole nother video. I mean, they got none of their own picks back in this trade. When Houston had their picks, what a horrible return. And we will see why it took so little to get KD in a second. But one big reason was KD had control of where he ended up, right? Like, this wasn't a Blazers dealing Dame situation where they got to take the best offer, because Durant only had 1 year left on his contract. So when the Timberwolves, for example, stepped up, KD said, no, sorry, I'm not going there. So a report said that Anthony Edwards loved KD, and they were willing to trade either Rudy Gobert or Julius Randle, plus Dante DiVincenzo, Rob Dillingham, and the number 17 pick. But Durant shut it down. And you're not going to trade all of that stuff for 1 year of Kevin Durant when he is telling you, I will not re-sign. So his final wish list was the Spurs, Rockets, and the Miami Heat. Now, one report said that KD preferred San Antonio with Wemby, but the Spurs didn't bite. Why? Plugged-in reporter Don Harris says San Antonio did not believe KD was enough. Wemby is just 21 years old. An NBA player's prime is 25 to 32. So if KD wasn't going to win them a chip in the next 3 years, then what's the point? You're just going to spend all these valuable assets for a guy who gets you to the second round. So they were out. And what about Miami? They just lost Jimmy Butler. They need a star. Well, Shams reports they refused to include anything. I mean, they said no to Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, Haywood Highsmith, the number 20 pick, or any other draft assets. What did they expect to trade for KD? Dwayne Wade's ugly statue? I mean, these NBA teams do not value KD as an elite NBA player anymore. But are they right? Can Durant make Houston a legit contender in the West? Well, let's look at what kind of player Kevin Durant even is at 37 years old. This year, he scored 27 points per game, right on his career average. He had just 1 rebound fewer than normal, same assists. But even more efficient 5 years after an Achilles tear. What are these NBA teams thinking? Well, his age is actually showing in 2 key areas, and you can't see it in those numbers, but his defense isn't close to what it used to be, and he doesn't get to the basket much anymore. And that might not sound like a big deal, but it makes his game more one-dimensional, and it results in fewer free throws, which happen to come in handy late in big games. Still, The dude is one of the best shot makers to ever live, and it turns out that's exactly what the Rockets were missing. Houston just got the number 2 seed last year with a young core built around Alperen Sengun, Amin Thompson, and Fred VanVleet running point. Their superpower in the regular season was defense. Houston was the number 5 defense in the NBA, but an average offense at number 12. So how is their brand of basketball going to be affected here? Well, Jalen Green is now a Sun. He's a former number 2 overall pick, but the kid just never developed a consistent offensive game. Like, he could go off for 40 one night and then have 2 or 3 games in single digits. I mean, Coach Ime Udoka, who's like a huge stickler for defense, used to bench Jalen Green for bad defense. And in the playoffs, when they needed him the most, he ghosted. Kid had 38 points in a Game 2 win, but averaged 9 points outside of that. And this is a dude on the floor for his offense. I mean, 8 points in a Game 7. For a team that had James Harden for 8.5 years, they've seen that movie before. So Phoenix might tell themselves that they got a potential future All-Star, but I'll believe it when I see it. Now, losing Dylan Brooks hurts because he was a decent 3-and-D player, but the Rockets' secret weapon was the Terror Twins. Amin Thompson and Tari Eason, they are still on the team and just entering their primes. So yes, on paper, this was actually a great move for the Rockets in terms of fit and what they sent out. They dealt 2 players who aren't even a part of their core a bunch of seconds and the number 10 pick. They didn't even have to give Suns their own picks back outside of number 10. Oh, and number 10 pick, they didn't even have minutes for the number 3 pick last year, Reed Shepherd. So what were they going to do with the number 10 pick? Now, I was against them dealing major assets with Giannis potentially still out there. But this was not some big package. This was much less than anybody dreamed. So if another young star does become available down the line, Houston can still pounce. But I also kind of love this trade for Kevin Durant. I mean, not only is he tight with the coach Ime Udoka from their days in Brooklyn together, but the fit is almost perfect, right? Like, KD is now surrounded by plus defenders, and the ball is in his hands to close games unquestioned. There's not some young dude who's jealous on this team that he's not getting the last shot. Last season proved that. They needed a clutch shot maker. And yeah, you love Giannis's age and talent level, but one reason he wasn't a perfect fit was the Rockets shooting. They are one of the worst 3-point teams in the league. Not a concern with KD though. In fact, he's the solution. And as a number 2, Alperen Sengun is no doubt now with Jalen Green out of the way. And we saw a big leap offensively from Amin Thompson last year. So if he's their number 3 on offense, I don't hate it. Now, my one nitpick is, who is this team's leader? Because you need that for a championship. We know that's not KD's thing. But the answer is going to have to be Coach Ime Udoka, which isn't normal in the NBA, but it can happen if the coach is the right guy. But I wouldn't be surprised if it is now the Thunder, the Nuggets, and Houston battling for best in the West. But what does this mean for Giannis? I mean, we thought that Houston was all in on him, but maybe they got some intel that the Greek Freak is staying in Milwaukee. So something really weird just happened with the Giannis trade, and I broke it all down right here.